Howdy y'all, Joe Hills here, recording as I always do in Nashville, Tennessee, and what you can see before you is a tiny corner of a tiny piece of something that's going to be beautiful. A beautiful sign over Red Sky Bay that I think will delight and warn anyone who comes anywhere near it. It's going to be exceptional. But you know what we got to do first? We got to gather a ton of material. You know, these things don't mind themselves. I've got to get more nether brick to make more netherrack to bake to make nether brick. Maybe even find a fortress if I can, to steal some bricks directly out of there. You know, if the wither skeletons aren't too busy smashing me to death with their, swords and poisons and deadliness. And I also need to gather a lot more dye to actually color in the pieces. I've got a bit of a palette kind of partially selected here, which you can see like so. I haven't kind of determined the exact finality, but this is going to be a sign that says Red Sky Bay and looks like either a sunrise or a sunset, kind of depending on which angle you're looking at it from. I think it should be pretty cool. But let's go ahead and start getting everything we need. We will start with some of the sand. We need so much sand for this project. It's a good thing that we conveniently have an inlet that we need to dredge significantly. So I'm just going to run over here with my Isuma gifted Curse of Vanishing shovel. If I die, this shovel will be gone forever. And so until I do, it is my quest to gather every single stack of sand and gravel and dirt that I can. There is no sense letting this go to waste, It's bad enough when you die. It's worse when you lose things. So I figure I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of dredging, do a little bit of gathering, hopefully come back and work on some construction. Oh, hey, gravel. Awesome. I'm going to need... Oh, I forgot this shovel is cursed, so it only gives me flint. Going to have to use my other shovel for the gravel. Yeah, there we go. Real gravel. That's going to come in handy for the concrete we'll need. Anyway, time skip. Oh. Dang it. I was not paying attention to my suffocation. Dang it, the shovel's gone. Oh no. The shovel's gone. Dang it. Okay, so that's really bad. I need to get over there immediately. And we have made it back safely and in time to all of our gear. Hopefully we can actually find it all underneath here. It's going to be mixed in with a bunch of other random clay and stuff. Also, this time I'm going to remember to surface occasionally. Dang it. That is incredibly embarrassing. First death on the server because I was mining while I was looking at something on the other screen. I was like, oh, I can just hold down the shovel button and shovel around down here. That's going to be great. It doesn't, I don't need to pay attention. Okay, I've got everything. I'm going to go gather materials for real, and I'm not going to die off camera this time. Although, actually, that time, luckily, I hadn't hit the stop recording button. So, that kind of worked. Anyway, time skip. Well, viewers, it's been a little while. I took a few hours to go ahead and dredge out more of this here to gather a little bit more material and to start placing a general framework where I had like a specifically bad framework in place before. Now, what I had before were some markers for an earlier scale of this that is no longer applicable. So, I've removed that like ice spire spike, I've removed this sand issue here, and I've gone ahead and started placing the lowest tier of the sign. Now, I don't know why I jumped out of the boat. I always hit left shift for some reason, and that's the wrong button. So, what I've gone ahead and done is started putting in glass on the bottom of here, using the sand dredged locally from our inlet. From the inlet to the sky, ours is not to reason why, ours is just to do and laugh. So, it occurred to me, as I dredged all that sand out there and started throwing it in chests and whatnot, I was going to have way too much sand to cook by like boating back and forth to my little waterfall smelting area, which for some reason is not view distance right now, but it should be. I'm watching you. Well, they say when you stare into the waterfall stares back, and let's just assume it's in stealth mode right now. Anyway, I talked to Wells, and he was like, Joe, you should really consider building one of these auto smelter things. And I was like, Wells, not. That sounds like a lot of work. But you know, it's not. You just put a chest here with some hoppers and some smelters, and then you have the stuff cook, and you can kind of do that even if you don't have enough wood for additional chests. You can just kind of keep sticking these in here. Uh-oh. Looks like this one is out of lava. So I might have to go... I've been fueling these with lava because it's a lot cheaper when I have like a big lava ravine down there. But let's go ahead and grab some lava real quick so we can get this smelter to continue operating. Then, after we've grabbed the lava, what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish out putting this light blue stained glass in the base of the cube and discuss, geometrically speaking, how we're going to proceed. And so just as in the past I have used my redstone lab to experiment, to push boundaries and to create, I'm hoping that this season I can use my geometric lab to test the limits of myself architecturally and geometrically, you know? Because it's fine to have a point of interest here and a point of interest there, but any 2 points of interest can form a line of interest. And if you have a third point, well, you can define a whole plane of interest. And let me tell you things. Planes, they can fly at any angle, man. And it's not good to just limit ourselves to working in straight lines in Minecraft. We want to really experiment with diagonals. Not just in 1 or 2 dimensions, but in all 3. And I'm hoping that this little geometric space here gives my brain geometric space to work within. But anyway, we'll return to that in a minute. Let's go get some lava. Here we are back in my ravine. As you can see, I've already kind of lava'd or bucketed out some of the lava here. And I've realized the safest way to do this is basically to keep it in the offhand. And then as soon as I get the last bucket full, like that, I just put it away. So that way I don't accidentally like cover myself in lava while I'm running back down the hallway here. This is a really simple trick. I think that, you know, anyone can do it. But you just stack a ton of buckets right there, right click, and you're all set. So I'm going to go start refueling my furnaces and then start doing some geometry. Time skip. I don't like the judder on the stairs, so I try to never record on hair. I gotta get a better way to get down to the mine today. Whoa, a present! From Wells Night! Hey, it's an Elytra! Woo! Thank you, Wells Night, for the Elytra. He had said in the Hermitcraft Discord chat earlier that he had a few extra Elytras, and that he was hoping that people might need them, could let him know. So I've like raised my hand and said, whoa, I would not mind an Elytra. I did not expect home delivery. That is stellar. Although now I think I'm going to have to record that song I was kind of singing earlier in the final edit of this video, which I was planning to cut out. That was just to make me happy. But you know what? I guess it gets to make you happy too. Let's climb up here and then see how far we can get. We're just going to go straight in the... We're not going to get across the bay without fireworks, are we? Well, let's find out. Begin flight test 0000001. Oh, that's a beautiful glide. Oh, I'm not even going to need a fireworks to get across the bay. That's wonderful to know. Awesome. So that is great, knowing that if all I have to do is climb up to that peak there, I can get all the way across without even using a firework. Excellent. So, anyway, let's hop up here. Oh, wait. Before we hop anywhere, let's go ahead and refuel our furnaces. These two don't need it right away. But these two are definitely stopped. And I'll store the extra lava buckets here. Ideally, I should have 8 lava buckets, but I've been trying to save my iron. You know, I don't want to have an iron deficiency that, you know, it'll hurt your fingernails, and it's no good for anybody. So, anyway, real quick, as you can see, because these are 8x8 grids, it should require one stack of each, you know, flooring material to fill one of these panes. Now, that's great because if I accidentally misjudged any of the distances when I was measuring this, then I'll immediately know when I have leftover or not enough blocks. If I have to switch my hotbar to another thing, it means I screwed this up. So, that's kind of a good way when you're working with, like, large geometric shapes to kind of keep yourself from missing stuff. Wait. Did I do this wrong? That was supposed to be a friendly tip. Did I actually count this wrong? I'm going to be so mad. Oh, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, my goodness. Okay. We got our Silk Touch pickaxe out. How did I do that? I even filled this one in, and I didn't actually pay attention, I guess. I must have... Dang it. Just goes to show that even if you're Joe, you can still make mistakes. It just goes to show that even if you measure twice, maybe 3 or 4 would have been a little bit better, but that's the breaks. Oh! I see what I did now. The corner's in the right place, but I accidentally didn't double seal this. This stripe here is supposed to be too wide, and for some reason, I only made it 1. Okay, well, that is a really good thing to find out before I rip down this whole thing, because I would have been so mad. Okay, that is very, 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 very good to know. Man, okay, just always double check, triple check. Like, if you're a hockey player, just keep checking, you know? If you're not a hockey player, then only check things to verify their accuracy. Don't knock people into walls while on skates. They do not take kindly to that. You will be ejected from the rink. So, that means, though, that these are in the right place, at least. Oh, man. I cannot believe I missed that. Okay. So, if we fill this in now, right here, this we can verify the 64 block trick should actually work. Perfect. 1 stack of blocks, verified accuracy. We have whoa, that's a witch. Stay back. There's no future for you here. I see your particles. Anything good loot-wise? Sugar. Yay, I can use that to make sugarcane later. Oh, wait. No. Scratch that. Reverse it. So, up we go here. Whew. This is coming together. Now that we got our floor in place, let's get some geometry underway. Now, what I want to do is have this building be 3 stories tall, basically. But I only want the first story, the story that has the bay, part of the Red Sky Bay sign. I only want that one to actually align to the Minecraft grid. The other stories, I want to also be square, but I want them to be diagonally offset, though rotated around a central point. Now, let's kind of talk a little bit about what that's going to look like. If I hop down here, the smallest square you can make in Minecraft, you can't really rotate. There's no way to rotate that. But if you go up to 3, where we've got 3 sides, where it alternates, you know what, let's alternate the colors. Let's make it a little simpler. Because our panels here are going to be, you know, we've got corner pieces and then we've got center panes. If I wanted to rotate this square, what I could do is I could put 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. Now that's not the exact same size square. In fact, that's like larger than the first one by 4 blocks or 4 cubic meters. But as you expand your square size up, this sort of like rotation still works. Because if you think about it, or it actually works better because the proportional difference between area and size due to the offset kind of decreases. If we went ahead and we made a 4x4, let's start this in this corner right back here. So we said we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 corners, whoops, offset with these panes in between, right? We don't necessarily, let's make this one hollow now. We couldn't really make that first one hollow, but this one we can. So as you can see, we were able to rotate this 4x4 cube at a subtler angle while maintaining the same number of blocks on the perimeter. However, it got a little bit messy just at that scale, even though we can do an angle that we couldn't with this, where we had basically 2 choices, a 45-degree offset or no offset. This is subtler, but it doesn't look great at this small scale. Let's go. All right. So we've got our 3x3 square rotated, which warps its dimensions. We got our 4x4 square rotated, which warps its dimensions, although a little bit more subtly, but kind of more awkwardly because we're doing it at a more subtle angle, which gets weird. Then we have an 8x8 square. gone ahead and colored the corners blue like I did with the others for ease of use. And I'm going to go ahead and start working on a offset 8x8 square in this space here. So how do we apply the same offset or the same slope that we had on our 4x4 to this 8x8? And what does it look like? Well, we just follow the same formula, kind of having a 1/2 slope and a slope of 2. And let me come around the corner here and show you. And then have it just angled. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. And I think that that 2 and 1/2 slope complementing each other on the lines should work for any object that has an even number of blocks in its initial sides. So if this tower here was, let's say 45 blocks across, I'd want to use a slope that was divisible by like 3 or 5, but because this is 30, I can get away with using 2. So I've gone through with a dirt layer and set this up. The offsets don't align perfectly. This one right here in particular ends up being a little bit further out just because of the way that the lines ended up working. And a little bit of irregularity like that at this scale is just going to have to be something we deal with. I'm hoping at the 30 scale for this building it won't be as much of a problem, especially because I'm going to have the letters at a weird angle. I'm going to have to make the letters double wide versus what they are now in order to let them kind of absorb that kind of vertical or diagonal drift a little bit better. But you know what? I think it'll be okay. So let's go ahead, and it looks like basically I just need to pick a point near the thing for one. I just need to figure out where I want my corners to be, I think. So after taking a long look at different ways to try and figure out how to make sure that I was placing my corner optimally, I decided that it would be safest to just go ahead and open up Adobe Illustrator, which I use for all my illustration work and my comics and stuff that I used to draw, and set up a square with the same coordinates as this square in the Adobe Illustrator grid. Rotate it 26 degrees because that's a gradient of 50% or like a slope 2 or 1/2. Basically, figure out how to get the slope that I want where I want it, because I tried a bunch of just like dead reckoning options where I just look at this and say, that seems about right, and none of them quite worked out. So I do have some coordinates here I want to place a corner at. I did not make the corners a different color than the rest of these, although I'm going to go ahead and just in the interests of how I've done this so far, I'm going to make this first corner magenta just so it stands out. And this first corner is going to be at 924, negative 838. So let's go to 924. Negative 838 first is about here. And 924 is going to be out this way. And, we got a corner now. And because this square is so much larger than the ones down there, it'll look even closer to a square in the distance. So I think it's going to look pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and continue extrapolating this square out and making it look awesome. Time skip. Well, I've got a base square going on here, which you can see more clearly kind of this way. What I want to do now is I need to bake more netherrack. I'm just burning through materials like crazy. Literally, I have a furnace burning through materials, and specifically it's burning through lava like crazy. So I'm going to swing back here by my mine. I have missed the Elytra so much. Wait, does this mean I can fly through the second story window now? No, I'm going to miss it just barely. Almost flying through the second story window. Once we get the third story on our thing over here, it'll be a lot easier. But yeah, that already looks good. Look at that in the distance. If I don't even look at it through the window, yeah, that's going to be great. We get some color in there. It's going to look excellent. Okay, so I think the next logical thing to do is actually to start the framing of the next square just to get a sense of where it will be, and then I can fill in the gaps kind of off camera. So I've roughly got the frame for the second level in place. I don't necessarily have all the vertical supports, and even some of this top piece here still need to be done. But what I want to do real quick is I want to get my actual third tier corners in place. Because if I can figure out where the third tier corner is, really I've done my geometric work for this episode, and everything else is just implementation. And I can implement, on my laptop while my kids, taking a nap or whatever. I don't need to go all the way to the studio to place lines in a, 1/2 fashion. But it does help if I do some of the thinking through on camera, because that's what you guys care about. You guys want to see the thought process behind the video. Or maybe you just like hearing me talk. Maybe you watch how dumb I am and then you feel better about yourselves. And you know what? Good for you. You deserve to feel better. Let's go ahead and figure out where this third corner goes. One nice thing about how I decided to do this was, for simplicity's sake, I decided to do negative 26-degree rotation and a 26-degree rotation. So that way I would have kind of comparable slopes for the second story and the third story, which should simplify things a lot. I considered doing a 1/3 or a 1/6 slope, but I felt like it was going to chop up the letters too much and possibly get a little bit weird. This is still going to have some chop to it. It's going to be strange, but I don't think too strange. Now, you see I've got my coordinate system out because, okay, if I'm going to rotate this, maybe I should look up the coordinates for the rotated version. But it's going away now. I don't need my coordinate system because I know that this one is going to mirror the second story one, right? So this corner here has certain coordinates that are going to go, basically line up with this corner. And this one's going to line up with this corner. They're kind of mirrored across each other, which is neat. And I've got my first kind of line stretching out here, showing how it's going to jut across the cut of the second story. Now, this is not necessarily done, but unfortunately I've run out of torches, so I can't really keep digging right now or building without doing a little bit of a break. And, having that break kind of made me think, I really appreciate you guys watching the show. Some of you guys even go so far as to patronize my Patreon channel, and you might have noticed there were no mid-roll ad this episode. That is because of the sponsorship of Eagle Fam. At the $50 a month tier, if you sponsor my channel, once a month, I'm going to read a poem at the end of an episode instead of doing a mid-roll ad. Now, you can actually pay more, and I will not do the mid-roll ad, and I will not include a poem. So then you'd be a real hero. Everybody would love you. But let me go ahead and pull up that poem now. This poem is called, I don't actually name a lot of my poems. I kind of write them, and then I never expected to publish them. So this one's just named Nomad Poem, because I guess it's a poem about nomads. Let's go ahead and see. We've walked toward the sunrise, not quite at sunrise, and away from sunset, making camp before sunset, as long as the eldest remember. And as quick as everyone can go, all together, with what we can carry, we've always kept going, over little waters and around larger ones. But all the arounds now just jut into more water, and the meals are moving against the sunrise and the sunset, and someone needs to tell the elders that the gods must have drowned. But the next ones will be better. So, thank you so much, Eagle Fam, for continuing to sponsor my creative efforts. Until next time, y'all, this is Joe Hills from Nashville, Tennessee. Keep adventuring.